Thank you for your interest in the Overview for Teachers, Grades 3 through 8, Reading and Mathematics Growth Assessments in the 2022-2023 school year and beyond. This video has been developed to ensure teachers have the information they need for the Grades 3 through 8 Reading and Mathematics Growth Assessments. After viewing this video, you should be able to answer these questions. What are the Grades 3 through 8 Reading and Mathematics Growth Assessments, and why are we administering them? What changes should teachers expect when they compare this year's growth assessments to last year's growth assessments? What information is available for you as a teacher about each student's performance on the growth assessments? What information on student performance will be available for students' parents? First, let's talk about what growth assessments are and why they are being administered. The growth assessments were developed for grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics in response to legislation enacted by the 2021 Virginia General Assembly. These computer adaptive tests are shorter than the normally occurring SOL assessments that students take in reading and mathematics in grades 3 through 8 each spring. This new law required the administration of fall and spring assessments to measure growth during the 2021-2022 school year. It also requires that beginning in the 2022-2023 school year and beyond, assessments must be administered in fall, mid-year, and spring to measure growth. The spring assessments will continue to be the regularly occurring SOL test in grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics. To meet the requirements of the new law, Virginia Department of Education staff, along with the assessment contractor, developed shortened computer adaptive test, also known as CAT test, using existing SOL test questions and test item banks. This ensures that all of the test items on the grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics growth assessments are aligned to the Virginia Standards of Learning, have been reviewed by Virginia teachers, have been field tested with Virginia students, and that all items have been accepted by Virginia teachers for use on state assessments. For the 2021-2020 school year only, the fall growth assessments measured content from the previous grade level and not the student's current grade level. This focuses on the previous grade level was intended to help schools identify any gaps in learning that may have resulted from the 2020-2021 school year and to inform instruction throughout the school year as new content was introduced. We also want to note that the fall 2021 grade 3 growth assessments used grade 3 SOL test items that primarily focused on content covered by the grade 2 standards, as there were no grade 2 SOL test items available. The SOL tests administered to students in grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics in spring 22 served as both the spring growth assessment and the summative assessment used for state and federal accountability. One question that many teachers have is, how will the growth assessments be different in 2022, 2023, and beyond? Beginning this fall 2022, the growth assessments will primarily measure content from the student's grade level. For example, a student who is enrolled in grade 5 reading and mathematics in the 2022-2023 school year will complete the fall growth assessments and a winter mid-year growth assessment focused primarily on grade 5 content standards. Similar to last year, the regularly occurring SOL test in grades 3 through 8, reading and mathematics, will continue to serve as both the spring growth assessment and the summative assessment used for accountability. The legislation that added these growth assessments to the Virginia Assessment Program also requires that test items above and below a student's current grade level be available as part of the computer adaptive test. Beginning in fall 2022, the test item bank and CAT algorithm have been configured so that a student might be administered some items from one grade level above or one grade level below the student's current grade level, depending on the student's responses to the on-grade level items. This will also occur for the spring 2023 SOL test. The test item banks and CAT algorithm will be configured so that students may be administered test items from one grade level above or one grade level below the student's current grade level, depending on their responses to the on-grade level items. SOL tests are not administered in grade 2, so test items have not been previously developed to assess grade 2 SOL content. Field test items that measure the grade 2 standards will be tried out with students in fall 2022 growth assessments. These field test items will not count towards a student's score, and performance on field test items will not appear on reports for student performance. Test items on the grade 3 growth assessments that count towards a student's score will only include items that assess content at or above the 3rd grade level. Beginning with the fall 2023 growth assessments and beyond, grade 3 assessments would have both on, below, and above grade level items available for students. Grade 8 reading and mathematics growth assessments will only deliver items at or below grade level. There are no items in a computer adaptive format above grade 8. In addition, students who have an accommodation and meet the criteria for a paper test in grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics will only receive test items that assess SOL content aligned with the student's current grade level. As we have mentioned, the CAT algorithm may now deliver off-grade level items to students depending upon how they respond to the on-grade level items. When taking the test, students will first receive on-grade level items. Depending on their responses to these items, they may then receive below grade, above grade, or additional on-grade level items. We encourage you not to place undue emphasis on a student receiving below grade or above grade level items. If a student were to receive below grade level content, it does not indicate that previous grade level content should be retaught. It means that the teacher should look at all of the data holistically and how the data may be connected and what scaffolds or supports the student may need. The SOL item test banks include a wide variety of items that cover a wide range of difficulty levels. For example, students who are achieving at a high level may not always receive above grade level items. Students will receive items based upon how they respond to previously administered test items and the difficulty level of those items. While off-grade level items are in the test banks and available to all students taking online growth assessments, it is more likely that most students will receive on-grade level test items. The new test blueprints for the grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics growth assessments are posted on the VDOE Growth Assessments webpage. These test blueprints provide details about the SOL test that are included on each assessment, the number of test items that will be administered for each reporting category, and the total number of items on each growth assessment. To meet the requirements of the Virginia General Assembly legislation, and similar to the fall and mid-year growth assessments, the grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics computer adaptive SOL test may also include off-grade level items beginning in spring 2023. These SOL tests will primarily focus on content at the student's current grade level, but based on a student's responses to on-grade level items, a student may be administered some items that are one grade level above or one grade level below their current grade level. It is important for teachers and parents to know that a student's proficiency level on the SOL test and their pass-fail status on the SOL test will continue to be determined by their responses to the on-grade level items only. If a student is administered off-grade level items, the student's responses to those items will be reflected only in the vertical scaled score that is used to determine the student's growth. Again, please note that student proficiency, their pass-fail status on the SOL test, is determined by their responses to the on-grade level items only. The vertical scaled score will reflect how a student responds to on-grade level items and off-grade level items. Please note that additional information about vertical scaled scores and how schools will measure growth in the 2022-2023 school year will be provided to school divisions in future presentations. Additional information will be provided as soon as it becomes available regarding the 2023 grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics SOL test, including information about test blueprints. You may wonder what information is available to you as a teacher regarding your students' performance on the growth assessments. A student detail by question, or SDBQ report, is available for each reading and mathematics test completed by a student. You may already be familiar with SDBQ reports that are available for the regularly occurring Standards of Learning test completed by students each spring.
Parents will have access to the Student Detail by Question, or SDBQ report, as it is provided by the school or through the parent portal, and are likely to have questions for you based on the information in the report. Let's take a look at the SDBQ report to make sure you are aware of the report details, so you will be prepared for those questions or concerns that parents may have. The SDBQ report is the only student-level report available for the growth assessments administered to students in grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics. There is one report for each test completed by a student. So if a student took a reading and mathematics growth assessment, there would be 2 reports for that student. Each SDBQ report will print on a single page. The growth assessment version of the SDBQ report contains student demographic information, the test name and vertical scaled score, and the item descriptors in each reporting category representing the test items answered by the student. The SDBQ reports provide teachers and parents with the most detailed information available on the test questions that students answered, and this can be a helpful tool for instructional planning. Separate presentations on using SOL test data to inform instruction, one presentation for reading teachers and one for mathematics teachers, have been provided to assist teachers in determining how last year's SOL test SDBQ reports can be used to plan for this year's instruction. We want to mention again that the vertical scaled score will be reported for the fall 2022 growth assessments. Vertical scaled scores will be used to determine student growth. And as we've stated, additional information on vertical scaled scores and details about how growth will be measured in 2022, 2023, and beyond will be provided to school divisions in presentations developed specifically for that purpose. As a teacher, you may also be curious about the information the parents of your students will receive and how they will be able to access that information. What reports will parents have access to, and how will they receive these reports? The Virginia Parent Portal is a web-based system that was made available to school divisions in fall 2021. This portal was specifically designed for the purpose of sharing the results from state assessments administered in grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics with parents. Through this parent portal, parents will be able to access information about their child's performance on the growth assessments administered in 2022-2023. Results from the spring 2023 SOL tests will also be available after they are administered. Parents will be able to access their child's student detail by question report for each assessment completed. If parents have questions about the parent portal, contact your school test coordinator for information about your school division's process. School divisions that opt to use the parent portal will provide necessary information to parents, such as how their child's name appears in Pearson Access Next. This is important because there is a character limit in the fields, and it may be such that a child's name has been shortened in the system. A unique claim code that is case sensitive will also be provided by schools so that parents will have secure access to their child's assessment data. After parents receive this information, they will then be able to create an account and claim their child's growth assessment information. Parents who created their accounts during the 2021-2022 school year will continue to have access to those reports claimed during last year. The new claim codes for 2022-2023 will be used to add to the reports already claimed last year within that same parent portal account. Once the parent has created their account and claimed their child's test results with the information provided by their child's school, they will have access to a PDF version of the SDBQ report. This report in the portal is identical to the version that you have access to in your school division. Most families will be able to access a personalized video via the parent portal that will describe the parts of their child's SDBQ report. This video is intended to highlight different portions of the report and will provide examples of the types of information that that families will want to look for and think about as they review the report. This video also includes a statement that encourages parents to meet with their child's teacher if they have questions about the information in the SDBQ report. Teachers should be aware that in some instances, a video will not be available. In the event that a parent has questions about why a video is not available for their child, please follow the directions provided by your school. We encourage parents to use the video as a point of conversation with the teachers as an opportunity to discuss student performance. An example video will be available for you at a later time to become familiar with how information will be presented. The parent portal will contain reports on student performance for both the grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics, fall and winter growth assessments, as well as the spring SOL tests for grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics. Parents will use the same claim code provided by the school division to access their child's growth assessment results for fall and for winter. In the spring, parents will be provided by their school or school division with a different claim code to access their child's spring SOL test data. As we noted earlier, the SDBQ report for the spring SOL test will include additional information that was not part of the SDBQ report for the fall and winter growth assessments. Additional information provided in these reports includes an overall test scaled score, reported on a scale from 0 to 600, and the performance level that corresponds to that overall test scaled score: pass advanced, pass proficient, fail basic, or fail below basic. Also, since the spring SOL test is a summative assessment that comprehensively covers grade level content, it will include more questions than the fall and winter growth assessments. As a result, information on a greater number of test items will appear in each reporting category on the spring SOL test SDBQ reports when compared to the fall growth assessment SDBQ report. The Virginia Department of Education has developed a Virginia Parent and Caregiver resource page located at the web address shown on the screen. This is the same web page that parents are encouraged to visit near the conclusion of their personalized SDBQ video. Those who visit the page will find information about the growth assessments, as well as descriptions and links of resources for parents to consider when assisting their children in reading and mathematics. Thank you for your time today. Questions about the grades 3 through 8 reading and mathematics growth assessments, the student detail by question report, the personalized SDBQ report video overview, or the parent portal should be directed to the Office of Student Assessment using the email address or phone number shown on the screen. Questions about instruction in reading or mathematics should be directed to the Department of Learning and Innovation using the contact information shown. Thank you for watching this video presentation.